Now I work mostly with wood as a sculptor, but I also work with ceramics sometimes, and then I combine wood and ceramics. But this is only the last few years really that I work with wood, that I've decided to work with wood. Before, actually when I graduated from art school, I was working with video. And I also did some drawing on the side, which was then sort of hidden. I didn't really take it seriously as part of my practice. But afterwards it became clear that actually those drawings that I've been making like daily, like every day 10 little drawings, they piled up into a big pile of several thousand of drawings, that those drawings are now the core of my practice. So that's where I get my ideas for sculptures quite often. Yeah, so 2.5 years ago I finished a big building project in Amsterdam. I built a studio for myself and 12 other artists. And after that project was finished, there was a natural moment for me to consider my art practice, and then I asked myself the question, how would I really like to work and with what materials? And then quite quickly I knew that wood would be the material of choice, and trees as well, to be more in the forest and dealing with trees, to connect with my environment in a more durable way. The process of preparing the material was becoming more and more important, and I think also part of my artist practice. So I'm trying to see the making of art not only as work in the studio and showing it in an exhibition, but also the whole preparing of the whole cutting of the tree and going to the sawmill and then drying it to the air in a natural way. So that takes usually 2 years. So by starting to prepare the wood myself, I started realizing that an object, in this case an art object, is never really a closed or like isolated thing that is finished and it's standing in an exhibition and that's that. It's always linked, it's part of a process of becoming, so to say. It comes from somewhere as a tree, and even before it was a tree, it was minerals and leaves, other things, and then now it's temporarily, it has the shape and role of an art object, and then afterwards it's also continuing on its way, and as this social anthropologist Tim Ingold says, it's carrying on thinging, like the thing is carrying on thinging, and I thought that was a really nice idea. And also a term that he uses is correspondence, so it's the material is in correspondence with the craftsman, and I strongly relate to that idea. Yeah, so the shapes I use in the works, they derive from very many different sources. For example, like offcuts from laser cutting labs or CNC routing, like this computer steered routing. But also cutoffs from my own works in my own studio. And then I combine those outlines of all those cutoffs into, in this case, into templates that I use to cut all the shapes on the big stacks of wood. And that's also why in the title they're called feedback loops, because it's all those shapes are fed back into my creative process, and I also don't know exactly which shape was which, so they're all mixing and becoming their own system somehow. Inspirational text for this use of shapes was by Wilhelm Flusser in his book on design, where he talks about, like, in pre-modern times an object would be sort of taken out of a piece of wood, let's say, like a table would, you could see the table in the solid piece of wood and you would free it up to come out of the wood. But now with this modern way of production, you have a whole, like endless shapes pouring out of computers, and then we're kind of filling them with material. It's a different idea of thinking about how you shape material. So it's filling, let's say, digital shapes, or really, often by hand working the material to free the object out of the material. And I feel there is a contrast between, or a tension between this modern way of production, let's say, and wood, the natural material. So you're projecting these shapes on a piece of wood, on flat materials often, and you cut out these templates, and somehow I feel there's a tension. This sort of big table with the small models on it is called Models for Deep Storage. Yeah, this deep storage is a project that I started for myself to prepare, and the idea about it is that I make wooden sculptures and put them back in the forest. So most of these works in this exhibition actually are going also to be put back in the forest where the wood comes from. Apart from the stacks of planks which were provided by this sawmill in Askola, Tunnepu. A big thank you for that. But back to the models, they started out as studies for real life sculptures, but then they became kind of works in themselves. And there's many references to modernist furniture design in there, but also to my archive of drawings. And the idea with this reference to modernism is to show somehow that this divide between human culture and nature, which is essentially a modernist concept, is false. Because by showing these modernist furnitures in rotting birchwood, because that's what it is, the birch that was felled on Kroker was half rotten, basically, when cut down, because of this birch polypore mushroom. So then I'm showing these a Donald Judd chair or a Joseph Albers bookcase with like rotting at the corners and falling apart. And the idea of the real life sculptures is also to put them in the forest and let them rot away in their own time, so they become part of the forest again. So there's this modernist critique in there somehow.